Hey everybody, this is GGB co-host Poppers, and today we're going to be going over what happened yesterday in college basketball. There were some pretty huge upsets, and let's go over what can happen today on Sunday. By the way, I clinched, and I mean clinched it, nailed it, 4.5 points. Let's go. I could get 5 or maybe even 6 points, technically speaking. Oh, actually, yeah, 6 points. I can get as many as 6 points if things go right for me today. But I nailed it this week. I upped my thing I needed to get to. You know what? I blew past it. I'm an awesome picker of upsets. But let's go over what happened. There was the Big 12 SEC Challenge this week, and there were some upsets. Oklahoma was able to upset number 9 Alabama. Florida was able to upset number 11 West Virginia. LSU and TCU could not upset their teams, although TCU made it a very close game against Missouri. I'm going to think of the other one. Kansas was upset by Tennessee. Those are the only really ones. Again, that didn't affect anything at all, but some big stuff did happen in the Big Ten today. So, Purdue was able to upset number 21 Minnesota. Minnesota falls to 4-6, which puts them behind Indiana, which was impressive. Purdue was able to win, say it's 7-4. Again, a loss or a win didn't affect Purdue at all. But the biggest upset was Wisconsin today. The number 2 team in the Big Ten was upset by then number 13 team in the Big Ten, Penn State. And I'm telling you, people aren't believing in this Penn State team. If you watch them, they're crazy good. Each player has a specific responsibility. If you had told me that Seth Lundy wasn't going to score till like 10 minutes left in the second half, I would have said we were going to have gotten crushed. But each player has a specific role, and sometimes different teams allow different roles to become, more open. So, for instance, Hara had a big day today. Myron Jones and Brockington. We can always expect Brockington to have a really good day, but it's interesting. Last time we played against Ohio State, it seemed like Lundy was our best player. Sometimes it seems like Myron Jones is our best player. Isaiah Brockington is always the most consistent player on that floor. Wheeler's a great defender. You have Hara inside who's getting better every day. And the real question is, why aren't more people talking about this Penn State team? I understand. We're 6-7. But if you look at that record, we have a close loss to Michigan. Close loss to Seton Hall. Close loss to Indiana. You understand what I'm saying here? Close loss to Ohio State. We have a lot of close losses. Again, if some of those games go our way, like let's just say half of them, we could have 8 wins. We could easily be an 8-5 team right now. Think about that for a second. Penn State is legitimately good. They're a legitimately good basketball team. They're better than Maryland, Northwestern, and Michigan State, in my opinion. I think they might be better than Minnesota, Indiana, Rutgers, Purdue. I'm really hyped on this Penn State team. Penn State was able to beat Wisconsin for the first time in like 10 years. No biggie. This is a different Penn State team. This isn't the Penn State team that started, 0-5 in conference play? This is the team that's won 3 out of 4. And that one was a close loss to Ohio State that, honestly, we should have won if we didn't have all our players hurt. Sessoms came back this game. Wasn't 100% healthy, but he came back. It makes it even more probable that he's going to play next Tuesday against Wisconsin. Miles Tread is getting better every day. And you can see it. You can see it in his play. Jamari Wheeler, that turned out not to be a serious injury. And suddenly, we're starting to get healthy come playoff time. Penn State hits a streak. I could see us in the top 7. Easy. We can pass Minnesota and Indiana. And Rutgers. I'm not even afraid of that. I think that's a likely scenario that Penn State, at the very least, ends up 7th. I think that's our lowest spot that I think we can hit. I think we can go higher than 7. I think we're a very good team. And I think we have a chance make a March Madness this year. I understand that might be a little bit too hype and everything, but I love this Penn State team. This Penn State team is playing fantastic football. Jim Ferry is playing his way into a full-time head coaching job. I love what this Penn State team is doing. And you're telling me you're going to go into the Big Ten tournament and you're not going to bet on these guys? These guys are playing fantastic basketball right now. As the guy was saying on TV today, I don't know if there's a better guy in transition than Isaiah Brockington. I don't know if there's a better defender in the Big Ten than Jamari Wheeler. I think there's maybe one more better big man, and that's obviously Garza. Garza's special, but I don't know if a lot of people are better than Hara, the way he's playing. I don't know if people are better shooting threes than Myron Jones. So There's a lot of players on this team that I really like. I don't know if there's a better sixth man in the Big Ten than Sam Sessoms. Sam Sessoms is amazing off the bench, like a legitimate god. But I'm telling you, Penn State, I'll watch them on Tuesday. I could be proven wrong on Tuesday, but they beat Wisconsin today. That's a huge win. Huge win for Penn State. Quality win. Again, then we open down a stretch after the Wisconsin game on Tuesday. All three of the next games, Maryland, Michigan State, Nebraska, all winnable basketball games. Every single one of them. We're going to be able to have a revenge against Ohio State soon, maybe, after the Nebraska game. Let's go also down the schedule. We still have to play Iowa again. Iowa, that's going to be tough. I don't know if we'll be able to pull that one off, mainly because I think Iowa is a very good basketball team. Luka Garza is probably the best college basketball player in the entire country, but it's a team game, so who knows. We were to shut down Potter today. Potter's a great big man as well, so it's going to be interesting. We have Maryland at the end of the year again. We have Purdue. I'd like to get some revenge on Purdue. Minnesota. I think we're a better team than Minnesota. But let's say we lose to Iowa and Minnesota. We still have a great in-conference record. Honestly, I'm hyped about this Penn State team. I could go talk about them all day, but we need to go over what else happened. Creighton was able to avoid the upset at DePaul, which was a weirdly close game that I didn't think was going to be that close, but DePaul absolutely nailed it today. Played a great game. Fortunately, wasn't able to be enough to beat Creighton. Seton Hall was crumbling. They played Villanova today. They lost, but that puts them in 5th place. Xavier was able to pass them. Xavier was able to pass UConn, too, to get the 3rd place. But now, I'm not sure Seton Hall's that much better team than Providence. That's what these close losses are getting you against Creighton, Villanova. You're not. If you win some of these close games, then you're in the top conversation. You're a top 25 team. But you're not Seton Hall. You're not coming up with these wins. And right now, Providence is a game behind you. A game. So, this is a serious situation that Seton Hall needs to fix ASAP if they want to be a top contender. Honestly, this day could not have worked out better for me. As a lot of a Penn State and Virginia Tech fan, Virginia Tech absolutely nailed it today against Virginia. Boom! Get destroyed, Virginia. Boo, Cavaliers fans. Hokies rule and Cavaliers drool. Boom! Hokies. Lose their second leading scorer? Doesn't matter. We're still a great basketball team. Top 15 to be sure. We're rising up in the rankings this week. Second in the ACC. Second in the ACC. You really want to talk about this team? This Virginia Tech team is a team that's going under the radar. Everyone talk about Virginia, Florida State. Florida State just lost Georgia Tech today, right? This is Virginia Tech's roster schedule coming up. We have a game against Pitt. We have a game against Miami. We should win both those. We play Florida State. Going to be a tough game. And then we play Louisville after that. 2 very tough games. Then we play UNC. I think that's a winnable basketball game. Florida State again. Tough one. Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, NC State. We should end out the year with 3 easy wins. And we should have 2 wins this next week, right? Against Pitt in Miami. Florida State, going to be a tough game. I'm going to be interested in watching that game. It's on Tuesday, February 9th. Again, the Louisville game, also going to be tough. So, there are going to be some tough games coming up for the Hokies. But it's not like Virginia has it absolutely a cakewalk either. Let's look at Virginia's schedule for a second. They play NC State on Wednesday. Probably should win that game. But then they play Louisville. Not a cakewalk team. Georgia Tech just proved they're not a cakewalk team against Florida State today, right? UNC, they could lose that one. Florida State could lose that one. Duke's been playing better. Pitt, I don't think they could lose. They're not going to lose to Pitt or Miami. But, again, you have 2 Louisville games left. A Florida State game and a Duke and UNC game and a Georgia Tech team that's been playing pretty well. So, again, this conference is very far from over. It's a lot of teams are in this race. I'm going to be talking about it. I bet this ACC comes down to the wire. Like, there's a lot of conferences where I think it's pretty obvious who the best team is. Big 12, it's obviously Baylor. It's Big 10. I mean, I don't know if it's obviously Michigan, but since Michigan's not playing, so it's obviously going to go to them. This is ACC is going to come down to the wire. SEC, I think, is probably going to go to Alabama. Honestly, they look like the better team, although Oklahoma beat them today. I'm excited. I'm hyped for this Hokie team. Florida State lost to Georgia Tech today, which helped Georgia Tech rise up a spot. Unfortunately, still behind Duke. But we're talking about Georgia Tech in 7th place in the ACC. Remember, all it takes is a run in the tournament, ACC tournament, that is. And remember, that's if I'm hoping and praying they can't cancel those things. Again, nothing happened in the Pac-12 that was so big. Again, Oregon State had a weirdly close game against UCLA that should not have been that close. But UCLA still is sitting at 9-1 in conference. Oregon State still at 4-5. So, okay, not a huge deal with stuff happening today. WCCC, again, I'm a little bit worried about Gonzaga moving forward because Pepperdine was in that for about a half. Now, again, the second half kind of killed them. Pepperdine was in that for a half. Pepperdine fell, obviously, and while they're sitting in 4th place, they fell to 6th. That's unfortunate for them. But Pepperdine's one of the better teams, in my opinion. From what I've seen, I think San Francisco is probably the 2nd or 3rd best. I haven't seen a lot of BYU play, but I'll talk about that later. So, today, we have 2 games. We have at 12 o'clock, SMU, which is sitting at 9-3, traveling to number 6 Houston at 14-1. Now, depending on which spread you look at, which is weird, if you look at Fox Sports, which I do a lot, the spread is supposed to be set at Houston favorable 1.5. You look at CBS Sports, which I also do, it's favored by 10. So it just depends on where you look at it. It's weird. But what happens with a win and a loss for your team? Again, Houston's not going to move out of top spot, which a loss, 9-2 record, they're still going to be in that 1 spot. SMU, on the other hand, would move to 6-3 with a win. I think they end up passing Wichita State for 2nd place in the American. I honestly do believe they're the 2nd best team in the American. They're a good basketball team. A lot of people forget about them because they're in the American. SMU's a good basketball team. I think they deserve to make the tournament. So I think a win here would be huge, especially since SMU normally beats them at least once a year. Now, if Houston was to win, they move to 10-1 conference, stay in 1st place. But the big question is for SMU, is what happens to you with a loss? It would really suck for SMU because right now they're in 3rd place. They can get to 2nd place with a win. With a loss, they fall to 5th place. That's not great. Not great. Puts you behind teams like Memphis and Tulsa, teams that aren't likely to make the tournament. So, unless they go on runs in the conference. So, what other games are today? We have one other ranked team playing. We have 12 o'clock. We have Michigan State, which sits at 8-5, traveling to number 13. Ohio State, which sits at 13-4. Now, Ohio State was absolutely very, very, very impressive against Penn State, able to pull it off even with 2 of their players falling out, even with their guard Washington Jr. doing almost nothing, even though he leads the Big Ten in 3-pointers, 47, and free throw percentage in 89.7. On the other hand, Michigan State had an abysmal showing against Rutgers, which could be expected because Rutgers is a good basketball team and you're coming back from a long COVID break, right? So, it's not so outlandish. I think Tom Izzo's eventually going to get it together with these guys. Whether they're going to make the tournament is a little bit up in the air, but I think they can make a run in the Big Ten tournament. I really do. On the other hand, I think Ohio State's a better team right now. But what happens with an Ohio State loss and a Michigan State upset? So, with an Ohio State loss, they fall to 7-5, which right now they sit in 4th place in the Big Ten. With a loss, they could fall to 6th place. And Wisconsin and Purdue, if you're a Wisconsin-Purdue fan, you're hoping. You're hoping and praying that Ohio State loses this game to Michigan State. What would happen with a win for Michigan State? They would move from 13th place up, 12th, 11th, 10th. Move to 3-5 record, which is better than 3-6 record of Penn State and 3-7 record of Maryland and Northwestern. So if you're a Penn State fan, again, you're a Ohio State fan this weekend. So what happens with a win and a loss for each team? Now, it's interesting. I don't know the exact math here, but an 8-4 record for Ohio State might, and I say might because it's not 100%, might be able to pass Iowa's 6-3 record. I believe it might be able to. I think so. I think Ohio State can get into 3rd place, the way the math works out, if they win this game. On the other hand, Michigan State doesn't move with a loss, has everything to gain, nothing to lose, really. I'm really excited to see this game. I think Ohio State's a much better team, though, and I believe the only 7.5-point favorites is a little bit subtle since I think they lost to Michigan State, just lost to Rutgers by 30 points. But who's GGB's upset of the day? I'm going to pick SMU to beat Houston. Normally they beat Houston once a year. I think today's the day. The Mustangs have been playing some really good basketball. Again, underrated because they play in the American. But everybody, this is GGB, Coach Pepper saying adios amigos, and go Mustangs.